Hey, what up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you today with the big news about Hulk Hogan, which everything as of right now is majorly just sort of speculation, I guess you can say, but it looks like WWE is softening its stance on Hulk Hogan as of right now. It looks like Hulk Hogan might not be returning to WWE, but it looks like WWE is softening their stance that they took with his there's many stories that are out there that WWE caught wind of a story that was going to come out, and they terminated him. Hulk Hogan caught wind of what was about to go down, and he turned in his resignation. That way, it wouldn't. That it would try and save WWE's face a little bit, that they wouldn't look bad. But it also might be that just maybe somebody over at WWE.com, just made a mistake today. But throughout the day, various things of Hulk Hogan started to reappear on WWE.com. I'm guessing that there's people that just go out and troll WWE.com all day long trying to see what's on there and what's there. Honestly, I go to WWE.com every once in a while. I will tell you that at least 3 times a week. If I'm really bored, I always troll over to WWEshop.com to see if there's anything new, to see if there's anything that got marked down onto a bargain. But I don't know. I guess maybe there's just major Hulk Hogan supporters out there that are bigger fans than me that just type in Hulk Hogan to see what they can see. As soon as the Hulk Hogan story started to unfold, people noticed that WWE almost gave WWE almost gave Hulk Hogan the Chris Benoit treatment, where they basically scrubbed him from all different angles of the website. No pictures, no writings, no articles writing about him, no merch on WWE Shop. Just basically anything of Hulk Hogan's was virtually gone. If you had a link, like if you bookmarked something, like I have this Hulk Hogan Evolution of a Hall of Famer plaque that was $90 that I was looking for to go onto a bargain someday. Like if you click a link, the Hulk Hogan merchandise is still there. So like maybe if you went to Twitter and you typed in Hulk Hogan shirt, there would be a link where somebody like might have linked the shirt saying, "I like this shirt." You can go to it and you can still buy it, and WWE would sell it to you and ship it to your house. Sort of like how I called Shop TNA and they sold me the Hulk Hogan DVD because they don't want those things sitting around the merchandise, sitting around the warehouse. If they're not selling them, they're just you're taking up space, and if they're never going to have them on the website, there's no way to sell them, so they're not going to be moving them around or anything like that. But honestly, in my mind, Hulk Hogan did a very bad thing, and Hulk Hogan should go away for a very long time. Honestly, in my mind, I don't think that Hulk Hogan is going to be down and out forever. I don't think that Hulk Hogan is going to be that guy who ends up having to move to Las Vegas and, work in some casino somewhere, signing autographs and taking pictures like sort of Pete Rose. I don't have a doubt that before his last breath on Earth, he will be back in WWE somehow. Maybe he won't be, in a main event angle on Monday Night Raw, but definitely before it's all over, before it's all said and over, maybe even if it's 5 years down the road, Hulk Hogan will be invited in to do some just sit-down interview for something on the WWE Network, something on a WWE DVD, kind of like the same way when you were sitting there watching the NWO documentary that came out just a few years ago, and at the very end of it, when they talked about NWO in the dying days at WCW, and Vince Russo popped up on the screen, and you're like, oh shoot, that's Vince Russo! Like that was like one of those guys that you never thought you would ever see ever again. I know that some people said that Axelmania reappeared on the website. I know that when I saw Axelmania or Curtis Axel wrestle at the house show in Stockton this week, he was just announced as Curtis Axel. He came out. You could tell that he was wearing the red trunks underneath, and he was still wearing the red knee pads. I'm sure that when he packed his bags to go onto the road, he was thinking that he was going to be wrestling as Axelmania for a good foreseeable while. He might not even have any trunks that are made. Maybe he just put his old trunks away, and he figured he'd be wrestling in these Axelmania trunks for a while, and maybe he has to get some made or something like that. But he just basically put shorts on over his wrestling attire. It looked like he just walked right into the arena, jumped into the ring, and started wrestling. Curtis Axel is a guy that he's a good wrestler. I mean, you come from the loins of Mr. Perfect, you're going to know what you're doing. I'm not sure how much, at his age, how much, Kurt Hennig would have actually trained him. But I'm sure that, he put those genes into him, and hopefully he will break through, and hopefully he'll find a place to be a star in professional wrestling. But I'm hoping that this is sort of WWE loosening their reins on Hulk Hogan just a little bit. Hopefully, we'll see him at least, mentioned on DVDs. Hopefully, we'll see him, in articles. Maybe you won't see direct quotes from him. Maybe you won't see, clip scenes from him. Definitely, I'm sure it was hard for WWE on Monday night when they did the Hot Rod Roddy Piper, sort of montage video. They did put the one picture of Piper and Hogan in there together, but Dave Meltzer said it best, was how do you tell the story of Roddy Piper without Hulk Hogan? I mean, Hogan was there for it was Piper versus Hogan and Mr. T. WrestleMania 2 was about Piper versus Mr. T, but basically that was about, Roddy Piper turning babyface for the most part. I mean, even when you talk about Piper in WCW, the storyline was always Piper versus the NWO, which was led by Hollywood Hulk Hogan. So, that's what it is. I'm hoping, I don't want people to think that I'm like this major Hulk Hogan apologist. What Hulk Hogan did was horribly wrong, and it 100% goes against a lot of the things that I stand for. If you really care about what I think about the whole deal, I made 2 videos on it the day that it happened. I was so crushed. Basically, this is my childhood hero breaking one of the rules that I have in my life, is that I really don't let the people that are around me say that word. It really bothers me on the inside. I had somebody tell me as a teenager that basically, what that word meant, and then basically that by people using that terminology, it's not letting the world come together, and it also just will always make people think that we're not progressing. It's like we're staying back in this certain time. It's just horrible, because in these days, I mean, everybody's mixing together as it is. There's not really one race out there anymore, or whatever I'm trying to say. But Hulk Hogan, my childhood hero. It hurts when your hero falls. It hurts when your hero breaks your heart. I'm just, wrestling isn't wrestling without Hulk Hogan. You can't tell the story of how WWE got to where it is. I mean, you cannot skip WrestleMania 1 through 9. Maybe you can talk about 9 and just not talk about Hulk Hogan winning the championship at the end. So maybe you start with WrestleMania 9, Bret Hart versus Yokozuna, and you just edit out Yokozuna's celebration being challenged by Hulk Hogan. Maybe you can start there. But I mean, then you're going to have people wondering what happened at the first 8 WrestleManias. SummerSlam's coming up right around the corner. What would SummerSlam be if it wasn't for the Mega Powers? What would it be if it wouldn't have been for, Brother Brudai and Hulk Hogan going up against Zeus and Macho Man Randy Savage? I mean, like, Hogan is the reason why most of us are wrestling fans today. I know that a lot of the fans that are my age aren't really fans anymore. I know that there's a lot of people who came in when they were watching John Cena. There's a lot of people who came in when they were watching Triple H. So we'll, it sucks. My guy is the guy that, did this horrible thing. And I'm happy for the fact that WWE is going to recognize what he did in the past. Because if we could go back to 8 years and me, you, or anybody else in the world can get in Hulk Hogan's ear and tell him what that word means, and that you can't say these words, and make him feel like he felt the day that he had to make his apology, I'm sure that he wouldn't be saying these things. And he needs to find a place in the world where he can just live his life, try to stay out of the tabloids, try to stay out of the camera's lights. I mean, basically, he was so in the news and he was so easy to get a hold of. And I'm sure that when, Hulk Hogan was talking about the passing of Roddy Piper to TMZ, I'm sure that there was a little piece of him of thinking that this was good publicity and this was sort of erasing what people were thinking about, with his downfall. But, it's good to tell stories about your friends and, let people know about how great of a guy Roddy was. But, like Mel Gibson, for the most part, when he had his huge downfall, he's locked himself up. Maybe you saw a picture of him here or there, but you didn't hear him, weighing in on movies. You just didn't hear about him. He just was gone. He made a few movies, and it just, time healed everything. Either people forgot about it, or people just, I don't know, remember the Lethal Weapon movies and how good of an actor they was, and we're glad that he was making movies again. And I don't know, but like if you think about what happened at the Mad Max premiere, Mel Gibson was looked at as one of the biggest movie stars of all time. And people couldn't believe that this guy showed up at the new Mad Max movie, and they treated him like one of the biggest movie stars of all time. Which, if you go back a few years ago when he was having his meltdowns, yelling at his girlfriend and yelling at the police arresting him for DUI, people thought this guy was a crazed madman who just was saying all these things, and just horrible. So we'll see. I'm sure that, like I said earlier, Hogan will get back into WWE at some place and some time. Maybe he won't be the lead spokesman, which was a great paying gig for this guy. Everybody knows about the place that he was in when he went through his divorce, and I'm sure he's glad that he was getting that WWE money. Again, being that guy that went out there, and they did treat him like a goof, making him say 999 1,000 times over and over and over again. But who else was going to be able to do that? I mean, Shawn Michaels does have a goofy side, but I think that a lot of people look at Shawn Michaels as a very serious wrestler instead of being in a cartoon era Hulk Hogan. And I don't know, I think it might hurt Shawn Michaels' image if they try to make him into what Hulk Hogan was the last 2 years. Being the guy who sells the network, does all the breast cancer awareness things and all the things that they had Hulk Hogan do. He worked a certain amount of days for WWE, and they had him do all sorts of things, whether if it was the Special Olympics or all sorts of stuff. So we'll see what happens in the foreseeable future with Hulk. I'm sure that the story is not over and done with.